Welcome and welcome back to the Metro Icon Podcast. I'm Shawn Kay the Showman, the host and owner of Do It All Entertainment and DIA Media, to bring you this Metro Icon Podcast episode. Before I talk about who I got on the show today, I'm going to let you know what we got going on, because you know that the Library Bar is the full resident spot to catch me at every single week, where we have the first and third Tuesdays of the month with the live podcast party, where we have On Air Don't Care, me and my guy Blue Label Johnny lay down our explosive dynamic in a live interaction show where, outside of the off-the-wall topics of discussion, we always bring on people who sign on for an interview slot to discuss anything they would like to engage with us about. And we're the only ones doing this anywhere around DFW, so if you want to see what's going on, come showcase yourself and catch us at the Library Bar doing the live podcast party every first and third Tuesday of the month. And then, of course, every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, I'm hosting an open mic and karaoke night for everyone to come have fun and showcase any original material, whether it be comedy, music, or whatever, but also come through and just sing some fun karaoke music. And as well, from the amazing talents who come through, we will be having a talent showcase. The first will be happening March 22nd, Wednesday, March 22nd. It's a free show starting at 8:30 p.m. I have some incredible talents coming through, so come check out the very first talent showcase from those talents that have come through on the open mic and karaoke nights, as well from the podcast party. But as well, you know, I got various shows that I'm doing all around DFW, from comedy to DJing. And this Saturday, March 18th, I have the very much anticipated Villain and Friends show with Alexander K. He was on my podcast just a few weeks ago, and that will be going down in the Red Room at Hyenas Comedy Club in downtown Fort Worth. Do not miss a show. It starts at 8 p.m. And of course, make sure you guys just follow me on Instagram at Shawn Kay Do It All to get the announcements of upcoming shows and different events to check out. And of course, you know this episode is nothing without our amazing sponsors, like our main one, InsiderCloth.com, which is the last microfiber cloth you will ever need. You know, you have the habit of using your shirts and fabrics to clean off your screens and your glass lenses, but you don't even understand how you can lessen the quality of those glass surfaces using your general fabric. So Insider Cloth is that innovative solution that's so easy to apply. You just peel off, apply, iron on, and you're good to go. And it goes so well with most of your common wear. It's seriously the best kept secret to that common habit. So make sure you guys go to insidercloth.com and apply the promo code DIA-CLOTH to receive 10% off your next order. That's DIA-CLOTH, DIACLOTH, at insidercloth.com to receive 10% off your next order. And then, of course, we got Teddy Johnson of D&K Contracting, the do-it-all dude of contract work for your next home restoration project or that big insurance claim, because you know these Texas storms are coming through and they're doing some serious damage around your homes. Just have him do a free consultation, and I promise you, he will take away your biggest headaches and make sure you get it done right, and will provide the greatest return of result. All you have to do is just email him, get that free consultation at teddyj.dkcontracting@gmail.com. That's Teddy, TEDDY, j.dkcontracting@gmail.com, and you'll see why every person who works with them not only goes back, but has all of their crews use Teddy Johnson. And of course, whether it's your next live event or media production, I am your one-stop event shop. Hit up Do It All Entertainment for your next private event package, or DIA Media for your next media production package, and you can get up to $150 off your next contract package. This is a very fun episode, because I'm actually sitting down with my homie Jason Dyer, a.k.a. Hagrid the Plug, a.k.a. Hassan El Savior. He is the producer of On Air Don't Care and the owner of Deep Video Live, that helps us make the show better every single time we go back to the Library Bar. And got to sit down with them, and we actually really got to dive deep with the owner of Deep Video Live. So go ahead and turn your speakers up, get live. This is my episode with my homie Jason Dyer.
You could do it all. You can.
Do it all, baby.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Metro Icon Podcast. I'm Shawn Kay the Showman of Do It All Entertainment and DIA Media. And what we are doing on this episode, as always, is talking about the world of entertainment and media and the icons that live in it. And let me tell you about this icon real quick before we properly showcase his beauty, because this is the most beautiful person we've actually had on our show. Is a person that has become very, very prominent in the other venture under DIA Media, which is hashtag On Air Don't Care. And this is going to be a very fun episode because we just came off another very lucrative and progressive production meeting to really solidify these live show elements and everything that we're going to be bringing to you soon. So the owner of Deep Video Live and one that is known around the community as Hagrid the Plug. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one and only Jason Dyer in the building.
Howdy, folks.
I have to throw extra emphasis for you, bro. I have to throw extra emphasis for you.
Wow.
I can't even. I mean, usually ask my guests like how you're feeling, but we just spent the last like 3 hours together.
Yeah.
I know how you're feeling because it's, I think, the same wavelength of how I'm feeling.
Sure.
We just had a very production time of us, really not only just kind of figuring out some of the like kinks of the live broadcast stuff, but also just enhancing the quality for video and audio and all those stuff. But I'm happy to have you and your glorious Fitz on this show.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
Yeah, and you've watched a few episodes of Metro Icon Podcast.
I have.
So you know the deal.
Yeah, I'm picking it up.
And
what you put down.
and so Jason is a prominent video director and owner of a media company, videographer and editor, and live broadcaster.
Yeah, it's kind of it's gone from the blanket statement of I'm a videographer to kind of ironing in on the technical director podcast live streaming aspect.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of that going on, not just with what we've got going on, but we're starting to see it kind of pick up steam.
I mean, I think that me and John can both attest to the fact that having you come on, even the few production stuff that we've done thus far, just the general advancements, us as a collective, has been.
Yeah, I think we just kind of sped it up, right? There were some things that
We definitely streamlined our relationship. That's
for
like
sure.
I think
That
like
was
there's
quick.
many people within the game that when they actually start going, especially into business together, but
Sure.
doing the creative process and media logistics to get stuff done.
Right.
A lot of people, it's like months over time, if kind of gradually kind of getting there.
Right.
We kind of went the ball running in this
It was so fast because it's like
bromance.
with the bromances.
This professional bromance that we now have.
With every production we've worked on.
This
it's
three-way
got-
professional bromance.
Hey man, bromances can be polycules too. It's a
Yeah.
thing.
But one thing I do love outside of just the invaluable asset you've become to the team, I love the third-party engagement you've become as a producer on Air Don't Care.
Sure.
Because you're kind of like that impartial party that typically sides with me, and I love that. That is, I will 100% like always be eternally grateful that you bring that dynamic. Because this dude is he's a special dynamic that him and I individually have.
Sure.
You and I, it's like I feel safe. I feel supported. I feel comforted.
Boy, that's
I
just
feel
a
loved.
6'3" talking right there.
Yeah. Like if I had to put it in perspective, and this is perfect because John can hear it, it's like when you and I are together, it's kind of like, like that's how it feels.
Frolicking in heavenly
Right.
meadows.
And then
Yeah.
when me and that's when you and I are together. When me and John are together, it's like
Yeah, okay, all right.
there we go.
it is.
It's
That's
kind of
enough.
like that, right?
That's
like it's one of those things where he already knew. He already knew. Like, but it's like it's the trombone's my emotions, but the end result is always an air horn.
Fire,
You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah.
And me and him have that dynamic where it's kind of like we're just spitballing fires of shit just at each other. We're just hurling at each other. And then at the same time, though, we end up having these explosive moments that we're just like, well, it makes us laugh or whatever.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if we're talking to other people, about the other, it's only like, no,
Gaslight.
that's my motherfucker right
Yeah.
there, you know? So either way, you've been and aside from your full-time job working with Deep Video Live and everything from your live broadcast, concert shows, and everything like that.
Sure.
One of them is Haltom City Theater. You have
Yeah.
a really good relationship there, and they have some crazy concert shows.
I really enjoy Haltom City Theater because it's got a real mom and pop vibe.
Yeah.
And you're never really quite sure what type of genre of music you're going to see when you get into that place.
I feel that, like it's actually kind of the big difference of like, me in the comedy game, someplace like the Improv, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's multiple locations. And then I just did 4 shows at the Comedy Arena, and that's individually owned. And we had 4 fantastic shows with Nick
Right on.
Griffin, and but it's individually run, and they, even afterwards, they kind of gave me some, notes that like of things, even though they were so complimentary and they loved the way I hosted. There were like little things to kind of help me out, and it's like,
Right on.
there's more of an in-depth care to your role within what happens in those walls.
It's like
right?
you're actually getting some constructive,
Right.
creative
Right.
feedback on what you're
Right.
putting out.
And then when you do a great job, it's much better, like appreciated
Yeah.
and validated and all that. A lot of times with these smaller places. So
That's how I
definitely
feel working with you boys.
Oh.
We're coming out here solving some problems.
But
like,
this one
making
you're
some
working
stuff
with
happen.
the dad and dad shop. Dad and daddy.
Y'all can fight over the titles. That's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I'm excited for the journey of what this is happening, because I think one thing obviously me and John have discovered is the value of having the right team beside you.
Sure.
And John has been an incremental measure of, even just on this show, of that progressing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're bringing back John's show, and you are an incremental measure to that show, On Air Don't Care, progressing.
I'm honestly happy to see it back, man. It's a big deal. And,
Yeah, so you remember it when it was with 80 Proof and John.
Yeah.
As a bystander, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
Just from the audience.
So what was your, as a viewer from the original show, what tell me what you thought, what were your thoughts, your experience, and what you remember from that show compared to what it
With
is
the
now?
original show?
With the original show to what it is now.
All right, so I would call it some ambitious Wild Wild West shit. My man was going off on that show.
I was the straight man, and he was,
Yeah.
he was the wild man.
That had to have been a hard one to pull off too, dude, because you're kind of funny as shit anyway. So like,
But it's like, it's just kind of like that natural dynamic. I
Yeah.
mean, like, it's a routine we had been holding for 20 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, it was just like, I know when to fall back. He knows
When to
my time
pull
spent
up.
forward,
Yeah, yeah,
he knows
yeah.
when to fall back. Like,
that's
it's just
and
like,
actually everything that John just described about that dynamic of 80 and him going back and forth and being able to groove through the content as they're pushing it through.
Yeah.
That was kind of what caught it. It was like watching. It was kind of like watching an undiscovered morning radio show or something. It felt like this is a thing that's here. More people should know about it.
Right.
And then, like we live so far away from each other, like that it didn't really make sense. I guess pre-pandemic, it was like, that's way over there. Then you spend like a year or two kind of like locked the fuck up, and then the first shot that I had to work with John, I'm like, let's go. Like, because it was like, anybody interested in getting their feet wet in live production, come on out. And I'm like, boy, my shit's is sloppy. Let's go. Like, let me get in there. Let's
I'll
work
take
something
them
out.
Too.
Yeah.
Hey, no expectation. I don't expect anyone who's
Right.
sloppy feet to come help.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're coming to a point where now, like, we have a few people that are just, even in the other shows and stuff, they're like, I'm willing to just come and check it out and see what is going on. It's like, yo, we'll take whatever extra hands we can have,
Yeah.
And I think, and again, it's like, it's these mutual connections, and we're bringing this network of people that want to work with us and the people that we trust, like, that's where a real team begins. So it's kind of like bringing you on and, understanding now this collective work that we're essentially putting under, like, this is a real big empire that right now, and we've, again, streamlined. Like, even he was talking about him and 80 had a 20-year relationship, that understood each other to a core. Me and John, our relationship, it's not even 6 months old, I don't even think. And they're,
Maybe just now.
yeah, probably now.
Wow.
It's like at 6 months. And we are still, I think, learning so many things about each other.
Sure.
But our engagement and honesty is just, it's right away, you know,
Yeah.
and he's played a big role. I mean, he's probably seen more of my stand-up videos and clips and been at my shows, and now he's like understanding who I am personally and as an entertainer, and it's kind of like,
Well, let me tell you from my perspective of working with you guys at the library bar twice now, right? The first and the second times there.
well, the first was I guess a ghost moment. I guess that
First was
called-
awesome.
It was
It's just
it was
gonna live in
mad
memory,
awesome.
man.
For a final product, yeah, maybe didn't whatever, but like
As
an
the experience,
I mean, like
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
involved.
Johnny Moose the Gucci.
Well, so yeah, John. Oh my God,
66,
we lost.
66 racks
So
on the
that's-
wrist.
Name it didn't have. We don't have it. But
Yeah, that's the only thing I
experience of
regret.
Living through it was amazing.
The only thing
Yeah.
I regret is missing out on the interview moments. You know, like I think the
I want to just real quick recap what John just said for anybody who maybe didn't hear that audio coming through as cleanly. He said that maybe for the final product it wasn't so great, but the experience was something amazing to live through. And I want to say I think that's what On Air Don't Care is offering up to anybody who's in the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were there with us that night, you saw an old man in an American flag button-up denim shirt that
Oh
he
my
bought
God,
somewhere
yeah.
in downtown Fort
who
Worth.
is the boss of Joey Gustamucho
Yeah,
that we
it
were
was-
in for a work
we-
thing.
we had a
I mean,
chat.
This is what you wanted to be, but this is what me and 80 like essentially like people wanted to be a part of
Of
what
the
we
show.
were doing.
They
like,
went on.
Now,
Yeah.
these people just see the spectacle, but like we had people who would watch it week and week who wanted to have their opinion and be part of it, and so like we're literally being able to do what he and I wanted On Air Don't Care to be.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's amazing, man. That's a tall order, and I think that we're the team to make that motherfucker happen. to be honest with you.
100%. And for me, it when he, because I think we told you the story how like I asked him to be a co-host on here, and he was
Yeah.
like no, and then but he still asked me to be a co-host on Air Don't Care. Like for me, that was bigger shoes to fill. I feel like knowing the love and relationship him and
Sure.
80 Proof had and stuff. But obviously, I wasn't there during its inception, right?
Sure.
So for him to trust me without me not having any prior knowledge of the show and what it was like and his
Yeah.
relationship and stuff outside of what I didn't know now and seen in past clips. Yes, like this new development is definitely like kind of like a new rebrand. It's like we're seeing so many shows nowadays and
Yeah.
movies nowadays that are like
Reboots?
reboots, where they remake or remakes. It's
Yeah.
not as much reboots, but remakes.
Yeah.
Of like older produced shows. Like this is definitely a new evolution, and you're a big part of that. So
I'm happy to see it come along now because I've been, my thing is from 18 to 28, I was a nurse in the state of Texas, and I retired at 28.
nurse.
I was a nurse, dude. Yeah.
Another one. We just had Alexander K's episode featured. He was a
Oh,
nurse.
I should have watched it.
Yeah, he was a
I'm
nurse.
gonna watch
No,
it.
it's on. I mean,
Okay.
it just dropped.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good.
It just dropped. So, and I was coming off my birthday weekend, so it didn't drop as early.
That sounds
as
like that'd be a great fucking hang. I love talking to former and current nurses. 'Cause it's like a whole different mentality.
Yeah, my sister was a
between
nurse
nurses.
too. Now she
Yeah.
owns a school.
Hey,
An
what's
early
up?
development school. So,
That's what's up.
but yeah, so you were a nurse from 18 to what?
28.
18
So
to
like
28.
the most developmental years of an
What
adult's life.
what department like?
So I started, the first job I ever had was working at Green Bay Confinement in Tarrant County. I was 7 to 11 nurse there. So basically I was like the medicine man. Or I would like get your health survey if you've just been upgraded from county to state prison. And I only lasted about 6 months because so there's this thing like when you do go from like county to state, you have to get like a health survey or like how tall are you? Do you have diabetes? Any of these XYZ questions and stuff. And this dude's like, hey, can you let my old lady know I'm going to Fort Hood? And I'm like, nah. He goes, dude, don't you live at, and spits out my whole fucking address. And I'm like, whoa. Old boy was my neighbor below me in the apartments there, and he was just waiting for a moment to drop this information. I'm like, yeah, that's enough for me to quit that shit.
Oh,
So
what the hell? I'm curious what you look like those years.
oh, back then?
Yeah.
Definitely. If I had like a goatee and my hair was less than 2 inches short. Like I looked like any random Latino you would see
Do you happen
walking
to have
out
a
of a
picture?
Target.
Do you
dude.
happen to have a picture like on your handy of like what?
I really don't.
Okay.
Hang
one
on.
day I do definitely want to see that because it's like I can't.
Last time I cut my hair was the week my son was born, because I thought I was going to get.
How long ago was that?
5 years.
And you
5
have
years
2
ago.
kids, right?
I have 3: a
You have
17-year-old, a
kids.
7-year-old daughter, and a 5-year-old son. So
the other side of your, the work that you've done. Okay, so then you were a nurse, and then you became a
after So after being a nurse, I started working or basically hanging out in the local comic shop that I grew up in with the family that owned it and people I used to know and shit. And started figuring out how to sell collectibles, comics, cardboard. I call it slinging cardboard because it was like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, like pretty much anything that could collect dust or belong in a bag or get slabbed up. I would learn how to sell it, and I have an eBay store where I got to move that stuff.
Are you a fan of Gary Vee?
Okay, so this is my take on Gary Vee. Ready? My take on Gary Vee is if you're smart, you stop fucking listening to Gary Vee because you no longer have time to watch some fucking guy razz people with yard sales looking for the nickel or dime.
Well, you know what's funny is that I have no problem with Gary Vee, and I was an active listener. But if after a while you don't have to, he's just repeating himself.
You listen to what he says the first time.
Yeah, if you listen,
that's what I'm.
yeah,
that's exactly
if you
where I come
listen
from
to
on that.
like let's call it like at least let's say 10 solid episodes or videos of Gary Vee. Call it like speeches,
Take away everything you
podcast
never have to
episodes.
listen to
Yeah,
it again.
you can take invaluable information, but he's literally just supporting the same principles
Over and over.
and over again, and then he's just scaling and it's just going up. But
So
at the
there's a
same time, he's
phrase-
just saying the same shit.
There's a phrase in comic books that people kind of make part of their creation Bible, and the concept is every comic book is somebody's first comic book. And I feel like everything Gary Vee follows that flow. Everything that he pushes out is somebody's first introduction to him. And as long as it's entertaining, has a lot of cuss words and a fuck you vibe, then it's gonna work.
Well, I mean, even just his value of the word, like if he validates any new business or anything like that, like makes a quick social media video,
Yeah.
you know, like if it's a brand new business, that his voice alone brings so much marketing value
Sure.
to a lot of businesses and brands now. And I mean, it would be great for any of us to have that, right?
So
like
we
you
should
know,
basically just work on an impersonation contest and just like cut out the
be good.
vids.
I mean,
just do,
there's
like, a Gary Vee,
there's
like-
mad Gary Vee impersonators that are out
Yeah,
there
no
on like
shit.
TikTok and
Right
shit.
on, yeah.
Like I don't know if I
Like,
might be able to
they
do it.
brought some of them out to his speaking engagements.
There we go.
He
There
loves
there
the shit
is
out of it.
Right on.
there is a it's like it's not a lisp, it's kind of like this back of the throat type
He's
of
a Russian
slush.
immigrant, so that's it's
Yeah.
not a carryover of
Yeah,
his
but
acting
there's
his
like
accent.
but it's like a squeak and a slush type of tone. You know what I mean? It's
squeak
weird.
and a
It's
slush.
an
Do you
delirious.
guys know that Shawn Kay the Showman's trying to get into voiceover work?
I'm trying to
you
pro. You
hear
know what I'm
that
saying?
shit?
I'm trying to like
You sound
compute
like that to me.
oh.
like
oh.
Gary Vee.
Like a squeaky.
Yeah, that what you're talking about, like all Yankees
Squeak and
have that-
slush. Shut the fuck up.
all
All right,
Yankees
yeah,
have
yeah.
that
go back to
twang.
producer role.
Hold
all
on
right?
now, East Texas.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about you when you get your shot, my man.
Let him know. That's what he does. That's what Hagrid does.
You know, I got to say, fucking David Cross does a bit about it where you can be from anywhere, but everybody sounds like this, man. It's just that dang old, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're from South Carolina, you sound like this, man. South Dakota, you sound like this, man. I'll be goddamn if that ain't Johnny. Blue label Johnny to the T right there.
Blue John, I honestly, I mean, because, you know, him and I come from the same tribe. Our family's from the same state of India. I don't know anybody like him.
Sure.
And at the same time, it's like our community is pretty tight knit,
Right
even
on.
if you're not super active.
Sure.
And John is like the first Malayali I've ever met, or South Indian Malu, that nobody in the community knows at all.
You
Like,
just escaped, huh?
they
You went
might
off
know
grid?
his parents. They might know his parents, but they do not know. They're
Right
like
on.
John Thomas, and it's like, oh, this John Thomas, or this John Thomas, and or this John.
A bunch
I'm like,
of different
nope,
John
nope,
Thomases?
nope.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I'm like, if you want to find him on Facebook or whatever, you can look up John Baptist Thomas, and they're like, Baptist? No, I don't know that.
Yeah. Definitely don't know him. I definitely don't know
I
him.
definitely don't know no John Thomas Baptist Blue Label Thomas. Like,
Blue label Tom.
Blue Label Tom.
Just the way I like it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he prefers to be a hermit crab.
That's
He's
what's up.
he's gonna, because of. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I have a large hand just because of the wedding
Sure.
market, doing these South Indian weddings. But now he's gonna be a little bit more known, just hanging out with me and shit. He's gonna be like, Sean, I lasted years without this community.
I imagine his run in the South Indian community is about to come to an end.
Oh.
Pretty soon.
Oh.
No,
You used that shirt wagon of mine.
no.
Be
I mean,
like,
because the
no, we're good.
No.
We don't need any Mexican Filipinos.
and it makes it, no, they know now. They know now, man. It was years of being like,
no, we
no,
know
no.
he's a Mexican
Yeah.
Filipino.
That's right. This Mexican Filipino. Now that he knows, you know, now they know. But either way, you know, it's gonna be quite an involvement that we're looking forward to in the next just in the next few months, what we've even accomplished in
Sure,
a short time.
absolutely.
So you, after the nursing thing, and you then were pretty much online selling
Yeah,
collectibles,
comic book
comics, and all
stuff.
that.
Trying to learn what makes it work.
So what came from Deep Video Live? When did that start?
Where did that
And your-
start? So I retired around 2012 or so, and I hung out in a comic shop for a number, like maybe a year,
Retired
year and a half.
from
nursing.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I'll never go back to it.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
in fact, sometimes, dude, I'll have a dream where I woke up early as fuck. I'm in the scrubs. I drive out to the hospital. I'm doing report. I'm talking to the nurses and patients and this and that. And I'm like, oh wow, this isn't so bad. And then like I get to the lunch break for whatever reason. It's always a lunch break, and I'm like, I don't have a fucking license. I'm going to jail. Like, it's just, and I wake up, yeah, dude. And I wake up like, what the fuck was that? And I just turn
Is
it
this a
into
reoccurring dream?
Yeah, unfortunately. I think I've had this dream. I've had this vivid ass dream at least 6 or 7 times. And it's usually, I think I've got it down to where it's like usually when I'm about to take the next step into like a new career or a next mode or whatever. And I kind of like get into that thought of, yeah, but remember how you don't want to be a nurse? Like, I'm like, where the fuck does this come from? So I retired from nursing, start hanging out in the comic shops. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? And I have like 5 big ideas. And I write them down on a sheet of paper. And I'm like, here's a bubble, there's a bubble, there's a bubble. And every single one of them would greatly benefit from video production. And so I was like, well, let me teach myself how to do that. I had a little extra time. I thought, fuck it. I did nursing for 10 years.
Well, another full-time job though is you became a full-time stay-at-home dad as
just
well.
about right about the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did become a stay-at-home dad. I've been a stay-at-home dad for 7 years now. Raised the little ones. Was able to intuit thereby that my youngest has ODD. Not a day in his life I've ever said anything. Hey, son, here's some cereal. Have breakfast. No. Hey, Rolly, do you want a sandwich? Do you want a pizza? Neither. Like, damn it, son. I have to like figure it out, dude. It is like playing mental chess constantly.
Yeah.
But it's worked out. That's my
And
special needs.
real
story
quick,
right
how old are you again? Are you
I'm
younger?
the world's oldest 40-year-old. I was going to tell you earlier, the reason that this works out in a shady kind of fashion is I'm 5 years older than you, and he's 5 years older than me. So we've got like we're looking at this crux right now. If it's like Gen X, millennial, elder millennial, and fucking damn near a Zoomer over here.
The spectrum is
So-
unique.
yeah,
Definitely when
yeah,
we're
yeah.
standing in it.
It's
like,
just 10 years, right,
Yeah.
between all of us here. But it's
I'm
like,
on one end, John is on the other, and the middle point is
look-
Hagrid.
Hey, but
I
listen.
act younger than he did.
I want to tell the audience right now, the next time Shawn Kay the Showman starts acting like he's a young buck, remember this motherfucker don't know shit about Twitch. He's still out here trying to learn what video games are like. I think he knows up, down, left, right.
I know that.
EA, select,
I know about
start.
that. I know about that Contra
Yeah. I
30 Live
think,
shit.
that's what I'm saying. It ended at 8-bit,
Yeah,
son,
yeah.
didn't it? Like,
But and I will also graciously admit that I woke up this morning and my back hurt really bad. And I, like literally
right.
throughout the whole meeting, I've been like stretching out my lower back, and I'm sitting in a
dude,
specific
twice today, I heard this man go, and I was like, Dad, is that you?
I've been grunting until it was your love and suggestion that was like, dude, just take some inflammatories, bro. I don't know
Take
why.
that anti-inflammatory.
And,
Where's that
and I've
lotion
been,
at,
you know,
man?
I try to
Yeah.
tough things out and all that, but
Wasn't nurse.
but you know, it did help. It's gone down.
So I taught myself video production by following some of my favorite bands with a tiny little action camera. It started with one Sony HDR-MV1, which is like their has like
Oh
an
my
XY
God, I think
mic
I had
on
one
the
of
front
those.
of it, and it's
The
like
little,
little.
the little box
Yeah.
with the little screen
Yeah.
in the back.
Yep,
That's
yep.
the one.
I remember those,
That was
Devin.
my first, like, I had started in college, but then I was trying to get back into it, and that was literally
That was
my
what you
first-
came in with, dude.
Yeah.
So
My first
damn,
camera back.
you hear that? You hear that verisimilitude right there? If that
Yeah,
ain't destiny,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. So I ran around doing that for a little bit. Bought a big boy camera, the Sony A6000, the first year that came.
Oh
came
shit,
out.
yeah.
And then I tried to do 30 videos in 30 days because I saw something. It's like, you should do this. It's great for you. So I got like at least 17 people together, and I started doing interviews. And the whole bulk of it is, hey, have you ever heard of a worker-owned cooperative? Do you think it could work in the music scene? Do you think it could work with video, this, that, or the other? And I got to day 17, and I'm on top of the rooftop at what is currently called the Nines in Deep Ellum, and I got my guy framed up, and then a helicopter comes into shot and stays there, and another one comes into shot and stays there, and before I know it, I got 4 different choppers in the fucking shot. I'm like, why are there 4 helicopters in the fucking shot? We go downstairs, and that was literally what was happening is the Dallas ambush. Old boy was running around downtown shooting up cops and shit. They were just
Oh, you were
about.
capturing the ghetto
Yeah.
birds in the air.
I sure did.
Trying to find them.
What
So-
was this? Ghetto ambush.
No, there was a guy. It was like 2017.
Ghetto birds.
I think.
I know that, but like, what's this moment? Like,
So there was a guy. The Dallas ambush is when
Dallas ambush. Yeah. What is
it's
that?
when a dude shows up downtown and just starts shooting the cops in the fucking chest. So it's like right off the tails of a protest.
Just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
They just started shooting cops downtown.
Right. So there had been a riot or a protest. It wasn't a riot. It was a literal, non-planned, non-sanctioned by the city protest. And they're walking through. They're doing their demonstration. And a dude shows up and he's like, yeah, let's go ahead and kill people. And starts doing this process. So as the city's responding to that, the way I first find out about it is the chopper's flying into shot. We go downstairs. And the Nines has all these televisions that are lined up, and they're talking about, like, we're shutting down downtown. Like, don't leave, stay here. What is it, the quarantine almost? Like pre-quarantine type shit? They're just trying to, like, they're literally driving the cruisers out to, they're trying to lock down the whole, like, all the ins and outs of downtown. So I see this. The guy who owns the bar is pissed the fuck off because it's like a Friday or Saturday night. He's losing. He knows he's losing all his money for that night.
Right.
I pack up. We get the fuck out literally before they drop the barrier, right at like Good Latimer, man. Like
Dude,
we just barely got out of there.
Shitty, dude.
And then I was like, I'm gonna just like chill. I'm just gonna like not do any more of these videos for a minute because I was like, I wasn't making any money, dude. It wasn't like I was out there earning cash for this stuff.
Yeah.
But then I kind of like. I think the first go round of Deep Video was very based on this idea of I have a service and you're a band and you're going to want it. You want video for your band, don't you? Mm-hmm. No, they fucking don't. Most of them fucking don't.
Or they're not willing to pay for it.
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I've heard it before. And then the guys that are willing to pay for it will get to the point where like, well, Todd fucked up the fourth measure of the third movement of our masterpiece.
So yeah, throw it away. Just throw it all away.
We're not going to use it. If you could just not. I'm like, bitch, get over yourself. That's like really how I feel.
I can edit it out. How do you edit life? We perform to how we will operate in life.
I mean, but it's kind of the opposite though. It's like, hey, you know how real life gets in the way? Well, this moment, real life happens. So if you could just get it out of here, just throw the whole thing. Or then you got the venue owner or the manager who's like, I don't get it. Why do you want video? I'm here to sell tickets. I need asses and seats. And at this point, I'm like, look, motherfucker, I've been doing this for 10 years. Tell me the bitch out there that's taking your tickets because I want to go work for that motherfucker. If this is really happening, let me fucking know. And it's not. It's not happening. Yeah. It's just like ignorant assholes who are like, listen,
move into the present.
Unless I work with you and you're a manager around here, it doesn't apply to you. If I do work with you and you're an ignorant asshole, I won't tell you to your face. So just take this for what it is.
If he's working with you right now, he doesn't think you're an ignorant asshole.
Yeah, I respect you a lot, and everything you say is gold. That's what happens. It's like, it gets frustrating, man, because it seems like some of the outlet, which is let's switch gears here, right? Some of the positive aspect of teaming up now with these folks that are coming out of the pandemic. You've got your time and experience with audio video production. John has his. I've got mine. That first night when we kind of linked up, we didn't all have the same vocabulary or the same exact same experience, but we had enough common communication capability that now we just solve a fucking problem.
I think my education stance though when it comes to video audio production is like way more fresh to it. I feel like in this dynamic I'm more salesman, showman, aspect of the business variables of development, right? But with you guys, it's like I know most of the time, especially when you guys working today, like you're looking at the laptops and stuff. I'm just in between. I'm like my fucking attention span is going all over the place. But again, we all we played that a specific role. But I'm not as far as the video and audio production. Like mine's very basic compared, I think, to both of your knowledges. But I think especially yours. I would say that John has definitely been learning so much. I mean, he's definitely taught you some things too.
Right. And that's the thing that you guys were fucking around earlier saying, well, I can't wait till we can be assistants of you. But I already know what's going to happen, dude. Just watching the professionalism, watching the salesmanship. I came into this motherfucker today going, dude, I got my ass kicked last night. Like I had some major news that I was not happy with. I didn't feel good about it at all.
You were a little sad.
I was trying to wake up, dude. I was trying to shake it. Dude.
He was sad grid when he was walking in.
So sad. Hagrid the Plug. Yeah, dude, it was bad at that time. Shit.
But again, it's kind of like and this is not our first collective meeting we had, and then even actually, you know what, and you know what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go into this of our first sit down meeting.
Yeah, please do.
But before we go into that, we're gonna take a short break. Go ahead and take advantage of these offers from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with the second segment for my guy.
All right.
Are smudges and marks piling on your sunglasses? Got fingerprints all over your cell phone? And still have the bad habit of using your shirt because you keep forgetting your microfiber cloth? Introducing the Insider Cloth, the innovative, best-kept secret to keep the habit without forgetting your microfiber cloth. General Fabrics just puts dirt around and with the moisture can create microabrasions which can damage your glass surfaces over time and still leave you not seeing things clearly. With Insider Cloth, it's super easy. Just press, iron on, and you're good to go. Apply to most of your common wear and fabrics, and it's 100% machine washable and safe. Now you can do what everyone else does, but your secret will be the right way. Go to insidercloth.com and get 10% off your next order with promo code DIACloth. That's DIACLOTH. Insidercloth.com. Keep the habit, change the fabric.
And now for all those homeowners out there, whether you need to get a new roof or you have a home restoration project you need to get done, y'all got to hit up my guy, Teddy Johnson of D&K Contracting. He is the most elite choice of all your commercial or residential contract needs. Teddy Johnson has been proudly serving DFW and providing all roofing style needs, as well as gutter and siding installation, custom metalwork, kitchen and bathroom remodels, fence building, window replacements, and so much more. And especially when dealing with those tedious insurance claims, Teddy Johnson provides the most outstanding quality of work and customer service you won't receive anywhere else. You got to email him now at teddyj.dkcontracting@gmail.com. Get a free consultation on your next home restoration project or home repair. And of course, y'all, you know I got to talk about my businesses. Do It All Entertainment. For anyone looking to amplify their next live event, whether it's a corporate event, conference, or that special wedding celebration with your loved ones. Do It All Entertainment brings the highest and most dynamic performance entertainment with top quality audio and visuals. There's literally no limit to what we can provide and can be accomplished at your next event. So visit us at doitallive.com or email us at info@doitallentertainment.com. Mention the Metro Icon Podcast to get a unique offer on your next event package. Then, of course, we have DIA Media for your go-to media production and creative consultation needs. If you're looking to amplify your business or brand visual promotions and trying to start a podcast of your own, reach out to DIA Media through our Facebook page and mention the Metro Icon Podcast to get a special offer on your production needs. Yo, now I gotta tell you about my number one spot in all of Fort Worth. This is the Library Bar FTW. It's the most unique bar and entertainment venue located in downtown Fort Worth, Texas. From its chic library ambience, multi-level beercade gaming space, you can find the most dynamic events and party atmosphere you will not find anywhere else. And it's always the spot you can catch me at. Check out the Library Bar at 611 Houston Street, right at the center of downtown Fort Worth, and get everything you could ever want on your night out.
Hey, what it is, what it do? It's your boy Blue Label Johnny, giving you the Blue Label Weekend Itinerary. On Friday nights, you can catch me with the lovely staff of Hooters Grand Prairie, kicking off the weekend in style. And on Saturday night, the party's going down. I'm busting out the karaoke. I'm at Eagles Point in Saginaw. And on Sunday, to close out the weekend, you can catch me in downtown Fort Worth at the Library Bar. Check in with me all weekend long, ladies and gentlemen. I'm holding the party down.
And we're back with our next segment with my dude, Jason Dyer, a.k.a. Hagrid the Plug.
Howdy.
He's now Hapgrid, Happy Grid.
Hat.
He was Sagrid, now he's Happy Grid.
Yep.
Because we've been talking about a lot of fun stuff. But this, when we first met, we met obviously at Library Bar. We had that first engagement with the first setup that we did for On Air Don't Care, working things out. And then you and I had to sit down to really kind of get to know each other, and also because you and John already knew each other, through the years and have connected, but you and I had it, and we were both a new energy, and everything was cool the first time we met. Yeah. But we're like, when we're actually kind of, things seem exciting the first time we met, and we're like, oh, we can do this and we can do this and all that stuff. But we're like, you know what? No, we both understood as business owners and working within this industry, like, for long game, like, you can't get too excited. So like, I want to talk about that first meeting because it's when we first met, and we met in Grand Prairie.
Yeah, I
and-
invited you out to Firehouse Gastro Park, which is a renovated, one of our first firehouses in GP that was renovated to be like a bar type of area. And that's probably honestly, that's probably the best.
Honestly,
bar
I
in
feel
Grand
like you
Prairie.
should be the mayor of Grand Prairie. Like you love
Man,
that
I do love
town.
my city.
You
I do.
love Grand
Like,
Prairie.
It's not even a joke. I love
And
my
no,
place.
it's not. And like I respect it too, because it's like you're definitely like a homebody that like supports the area that you're from.
Yeah.
And it's still accessible to, Dallas or
Yeah,
whatever.
I can get anywhere within about 25 to 35 minutes.
For the most part.
Grand
Yeah,
Prairie,
like the decent parts. But like whichever case, you have supported that. And so yeah, I came out to meet you at the Fire Gastro Park, and it was funny because, and we talked about a little bit, is that when we first sat down, it's kind of like you were giving me the Inquisition like a little bit like
Yeah,
harder.
so-
I think they're really trying to figure me out and be like,
Yeah.
yo, is this dude kind of bullshit, or is this
Yeah,
guy
absolutely.
Yeah.
I put up with so much. I've done a lot of subpar collaboration here in Dallas and Fort Worth, and I've had some not so great interactions that seem to just hit you over the head over and over and over again, right? And so I'm coming into this like leaving the library bar gassed the fuck up, like,
Yeah,
oh,
we
these
were
boys
so
is doing
gassed
it.
after
I'm
that
like,
first day.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, is this what's
I
happening?
mean,
right
not
now?
just us, even like the staff and management. They were
Yeah.
like, dude, what this is amazing and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just living on such a high from that Tuesday. And so, yes, it was kind of like it then collected. And it's kind
Yeah,
of like,
I didn't want-
let
I
me
wanted
sit
to-
across from this dude and figure him the fuck out a little bit.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to something that my friends know about me is that I'm usually known for having the right message but the wrong words. Right? And so I was just trying to get that shit out of the way. Like I wanted to know, like, as we sit down and we're talking, I'm like, yeah, what about this thing? Have you thought about these possible fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that? I'm like, this is the hardest possible criticism I could possibly present. Let me see how this guy responds.
Yeah.
And you just like, first of all, you're like, thank you. I need this kind of feedback because it's easy to get stuck in an echo chamber. And I'm like, oh, okay, you're gonna be humble like that. And I got you. I was like, this motherfucker right here, he's gonna
baby.
Uno reverse my shit.
Yeah.
But like the more we talked and the more you were able to address each of these concerns, it became clear that you're putting a lot of your time and resources where your reputation is, which means that your work ethic has to catch up to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, at the end of that conversation, I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna fucking do something. Shit. I think I started out with
I
I
guess
started
we're
out
gonna
something
be
like, you
friends.
want deep video live, boy? You know what you're gonna need?
Yeah,
$400.
yeah.
That's what I like.
know.
I don't get out the motherfucker. I don't open the shutter, like that kind of shit. I don't say, okay, so next Tuesday, like from like those two things, like understanding that like the
Well, actually, that was one thing that you actually said pretty early on in our conversation before we really solidified, what are essentially, I guess, call it terms agreement to
Sure.
when we were going to be doing these on-site productions for On Air Don't
Sure.
Care. You pretty much were like, this is how much this is what I value myself and no less to do that same work.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think what I said was, if someone were going to convince me to bring out my full kit to do this kind of
Yeah.
shit and it's not mine, it's going to cost $400 minimum.
Right.
And in reality, like,
And that's a minimum, like no
Exactly.
less, no less. Yeah.
I can show you all the current contemporary live streaming marketplace, and it's dude, if you want to do what we're doing, we're talking easily $4,000 to $7,000 per an event for the type of shit that we're providing and that we're trying to push out there right now.
Yeah.
And it's like coming to understanding that the number wasn't something that you thought I just made up. You understood where it stood, right?
Yeah.
And then knowing the value proposition we're
Well, I
trying
told
to
you it was
create
fair.
for these venues.
I'm like, that's more than fair.
Yeah.
And again, I was kind of like, I think also that $400 number was also in a context where like, okay, I can strip the value from this
Right.
this way. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's essentially, if somebody can convince me, it would still have to be, let's say, 30%
Right.
as a personal business investment for me to be able to like offset, let's say, that other $1,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is my base minimum.
Right.
To cover my essential resources
Right.
and what I need to do. But again, it's like when I heard that, I was like, that is definitely more than fair. Like 100%, that's more than fair. And to the progression of what I know that this is actually going to get, because I think that
Right.
like to what you were capable of producing on a live production element, I think now has, even what we just learned today. What
today
we literally
alone,
just
dude, the
learned
shit we worked out
today
alone. Yeah.
just added like a couple racks on top of that contract price because we literally, like, as far as the result output now, I'm expecting fantastic things with this episode. I mean, this episode that we're about to do live tomorrow at Library Bar,
Right.
This episode right now is not going to come out for another few weeks. So On Air Don't Care will already have that proven result.
Right.
When we actually do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
we'll be able to go, see, told you, told you.
yeah. That's right. That's 3 C's. That sound good.
Yeah.
Zero expectations.
There we go.
Right. This guy over here. I am taking something out of that page. That's not wrong. My man John has this concept that if you can live your life with zero expectations, you can't really be disappointed as each new thing lands.
I mean,
I do everything for the purpose of doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, like, that's not the, success is not my hurdle. It's just
Doing.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's also the expectation of being able to do what you came to do, but work with whatever elements that come your way, right? Like,
my
it's
thing is,
yeah,
you do
I feel
what
that way.
You have to do
yeah.
until you can do what you
Want
to
to
do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I think one thing that all three of us actually collectively understood is that we knew where we wanted to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where we want to move things forward.
It
and
was
progress.
almost as if I could like assume something for a minute. It was kind of like we knew what we could do, and we knew what we could do if we had the right team, and then we were like, oh shit, this is the right team. Like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of how that landed.
Well, I think we all three of
I
us.
preached to people for years. Like, I mean, like,
Mhm.
as I learned different things in this industry.
try to teach somebody, right?
Well, no, not just that, but when Black was on here, I said we know people who have succeeded, and God
Yeah.
But what I saw around each one of this, not even individuals, teams.
Yeah.
I didn't see individuals. I mean, I did see individuals succeeding, but that was a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
What was consistent about all the people I saw succeeding was they had at least 5 to 10 people with a unified vision, and everybody was working toward like short of 5 people.
Yeah.
It's very hard to achieve.
Right.
Like entertainment success.
Well, and on a
an
media
industry
outlet,
standard
yeah.
without like someone doing an individual task
Right.
to the extent of their ability.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Not 2
also-
hats, not 3 hats, people all
Working.
working
Right.
doing what they are supposed to be doing.
While maintaining consistency,
Right.
from each production, that you do, right? And so, we constantly talk about it, like, yo, this, I mean, again, it's like him now being that video director for DIA Media, like, now because of him, I'm enabled to maintain the consistency for maintaining Metro Icon podcast. I'm like, okay, now we
Yeah.
have a model worked out to get that done. So, okay, let's make this perfect. And so now we're coming to our third live broadcasted
Yeah.
episode, and I think right now it's pretty much at 100%. I would
It's going
call
to be
it-
the best.
It's calling it
Yeah.
100%. And even from what we did, that it's not captured, but from what we did from the first one to what we did on this last one,
Right.
it was exponentially better. And now we just worked out that last medium
Yeah.
on a very, very strong way. So, I'm just excited for what people are going to be seeing in these broadcasts and everything like that. But talking about your goal and progression,
Sure.
from nursing into working for yourself,
Yeah.
selling collectibles, building your education with video production and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Understanding that everything that you want to do and you foresee to do, that's the basis to really keep that momentum moving forward and being able to put eyes, bodies
Yeah.
towards your business and brand, right? And then you have some future plans that you're working on too.
Yeah, I do. They kind of wrap together and they kind of overlap, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
the first iteration of Deep Video Live was extremely geared toward becoming a worker-owned media production company. I wanted it to be like at the time, like they're not so popular anymore, and they probably weren't popular during their height. But at the time, multi-channel networks were a thing. And it would be like an organization that would come along and go, okay, we need these 6 talents, and these 6 talents are going to produce in these different genres, and go. We're giving the resources, but we're also pulling back some of the AdSense. And I thought, what if that company just wasn't there, and instead it was all the collaborators, the actual content creators who were doing that as an organization, pushing it? They'd get a higher return, and blah, 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 blah. But at the time, it's also like you could not go to YouTube and teach yourself how to video edit.
Yeah.
Like it was a very, like what we
Which I
weren't
very
there
much
yet.
respect. You didn't go to school. Like I went to Columbia College Chicago. I was
Right
friends
on.
with all video editors, cinematographers, post-production
Right
people
on.
getting a formal education in the world, right?
Yeah.
Like, or in that world, right?
Yeah.
The fact that you were a stay-at-home dad, you know, and I know guys that are stay-at-home dads, and they're like, "Oh, I'm working on this," but
Yeah.
they allow distractions to come into play where
Sure.
their, let's say, education or workflow doesn't work on an exponential scale, right? And that's one thing that I noticed about you right away is that, you know, as you've been a stay-at-home dad, you said 7 years, right?
7, yeah.
7 years, and you invested a lot of time and a lot of resources, and now your kid's a little bit older, and you know that they're becoming more self-sufficient, and you're gonna
Yeah.
have a lot more time to be able to put into the work that you've
Right.
been.
It's almost like I feel like there's a part of me that's relearning how to edit videos because it's been so long. We've had so many low-costed transitions, transactions, and like assets hit the industry that now it's like, I said it to somebody the other day. I'm like, you know what, brother? You're like that new hot kid out here in the scene. You're out here making the shits. You're doing the thing with the film grain. You're doing all that stuff. My thing's more like a dad with a slideshow that was at the concert. I was like, I'm trying to like modernize a little bit. I want to catch up and get there. But
Which we all have a starting point, right?
oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just it feels weird when your starting point lasts 10 years or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
that, you know,
yeah,
like because
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't really had to push to modernize that. But I want to say like that opportunity to dive in deep and try to keep teaching myself and gather new tools and try to learn those things. Like, you know, I know you're rocking that Rodecaster 2 over here. I got myself that Rodecaster 1, but I couldn't do
Yours
it.
is definitely more heavy duty. Like that shit's got that
It-
steel frame.
It feels like it's ready, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I got a nice little box for it, like a heavy hard case for it. But like I couldn't do any of that stuff without my wife allowing me to. And I know that sounds like a weird kind of a way to say that.
What's
but
your
if-
wife's name?
Amanda.
Amanda. Shout out to
Dyer.
Amanda.
Yeah, dude, met her in 2nd grade. We dated in high school. We've been married for 20 years. So, like my lifelong day right there.
Don't you
So-
just love it, John?
Hell yeah. Fuck 'em.
With that, but fuck that guy. No.
Fuck you too.
Hell yeah. But without that, and you know, that's also part of the motivation, right? If it's not like, what is my hero project? I heard you say earlier, video director, and I call myself maybe technical director or something like that. I don't throw around the terminology filmmaker, right? That's not really me. I'm all here for uplifting minority voices. I want to be able to allow people to have a platform to say things that I feel like need to be said or could be boosted or whatever. But currently, that doesn't look like a movie. And if it ever did, it'd be something like a ridiculous documentary. But I don't think in terms of a filmmaker. I think in terms of how are these skills and tools going to eventually make me money, right? If I can show up, do your corporate live stream or whatever, then, you know, mission accomplished. But for really, it all folded back into this idea of I need to have a business that is cooperatively owned, right? Because I think that it's like this, dude. If there were an evil version of Jason Dyer on the planet, he would be a preacher. Not even a joke. I would be like a televangelist. We'd be tithing monies. I would have a bomb.
You would be a
studio.
preacher.
I say all the time people should lucky I have morals because I would
Right
be,
there.
I would be the best preacher and still
That
be an atheist
right
Yeah.
there.
inside my
Because
heart.
it's easy to pull those strings or whatever, especially if you grew up in it and you understand it from like a really young age and
Exactly.
moving
Like, I
into
grew
it.
up in
Like,
it, I knew exactly what
Right.
it would take to pull at heartstrings. and
You know
make
what
you
it's like?
believe that I am that guy.
for those of you who are maybe a little too close to it, it's kind of like if you grew up watching wrestling and you knew from like age 7 that wrestling is fake, but there's some technical realities in it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it's like for me in
Yeah.
religion. and that
Okay.
kind of
Yeah,
concept.
that's a
how I see it.
that's a good ideology. That's a good analogy. But I feel that like the preacher mentality. Like my
Yeah.
other side would be, I'd be a preacher. I'd be like people would want to listen
Right.
and I can educate.
Exactly.
But I could essentially, let's say, find my gain on a unmoralistic value,
Right.
and what you're trying to do is bring an integrity to
Right.
this game, understanding what's out there.
And I want to share the wealth, right? I
Yeah.
don't want to. We live in a capitalist system in America, and we see exploitation all the time. And part of the personal motivation is like, dude, like I worked at 2 different comic shops. One was real small mom and pop shop that would maybe break 200K in a year, and another one was pulling down $1 million plus. And both these assholes are trying to pay people less than $10 an hour at every possible second. They're both trying to cut overtime. They both don't offer benefits, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, bro, just get your head out of your ass. Take care of your
Yeah.
workers. Take care of your people. Get your stuff together and ready and moving. And so combining that first idea of the multi-channel network and trying to see a retail or really a scalable worker cooperative that'll work, I come up with the idea of
You talk about that a lot. That's something that you preach often is the worker
owned cooperative.
There we go. So talk a little bit. I want to hear about that, and then I want to talk about what you are planning on doing, this business that you plan on having.
Sure.
So talk about the worker cooperative.
So there are many different types of business incorporation. A lot of people who, let's say you're you're just really talented with stuff and you're a handy guy. Like you go out and you replace doors, you rehinge things. You work. Maybe your main thing was working in an apartment complex or something. When you're doing that kind of stuff, you're probably coming in as a sole corp, like just one dude doing his thing, and there's a whole way to deal with taxes and doing that kind of shit. And then you've got limited liability corporations, which are a way to protect your assets and prevent any kind of shit that you own from being yanked by a bank or a lawsuit judgment or something like that. And then we've got worker-owned cooperative, which is similar in function to both the S Corp and the LLC. It provides protections for the group of people that are there, but it also creates this thing where you have one worker and one share and one vote. Worker cooperatives are really about workplace democracy. So that doesn't mean that everybody, let's go with the KFC, right? Let's say somebody wants to do a franchise of the Kentucky Fried Chicken, but they want to be worker-owned. And so that doesn't mean that the kids that you're definitely hiring at a lower dollar rate who are going to be at the window have the decision to change all the policy. It's not like you're going to get confetti cupcakes next week because Bob said so, right? And everybody voted with him. Instead, it's more like if you've got that one manager or set of decision makers who are just really shitty at their job, you are built into you as a worker, a regular ass employee, you have the ability to cast a vote when the time is right to change something about it, right? And I talked to a lot of people like, well, you can do that with LLC. You can create in your bylaws where you do a loss of confidence in a founder owner, this and that. That's fine if we're talking year 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the LLC where you don't have a shit ton of employees, right? But I'm looking at scalability. I'm looking at the ability to go, here's my business. It makes money. The people who work here make money. And now we're going to take this business and do it the same fucking thing, but in Chicago or Denver or wherever, right? And whereas most people would think, okay, KFC in Denver, that might be owned by somebody else or another mom and pop. My situation would be it's still worker-owned. So now you own not 1, not 2, but 3 or 4. Whatever we scaled out to, that's what you are now co-owner of. It's really about giving the opportunity to people who are already in lower or upper or even low class like income the opportunity to earn actual business equity, actual business credit lines, learn what they need to learn to maybe make their own. Because I think every
while
worker,
staying protected.
yes, having your ass covered completely. And I feel like when people ask me, like, so most businesses, LLCs or whatever, they have an exit strategy. What are you going to do? Sell it to Apple? Like, are you going to make this thing and get rid of it? How are you going to get out of it? My thing is like, no, like I don't have the exit strategy, but like if somebody comes on and works, they're going to take that share. Let's say that one worker has that one share and they're with us long enough that one share is worth, a couple $100,000. Sell it back to us. Move on with your fucking life. Like whatever you just learned to make your business ideas happen, great. You learned it because you're with us. We're going to teach you everything we can. Or I imagine there are some people who will come in just because they'll be old dudes with comics and collectibles and shit. They may work 4 or 5 years and be able to retire 60, 70K. And like, that's a big goddamn deal. Like, it's not something that they would ever get being the greeter at a Walmart. And that's my dad, dude. My dad was a fucking greeter at a Walmart until he retired. And I know like his pension is stuck and this and that, I'm sandwich generation. We're paying for every possible fucking bill or cost of life for my father-in-law right now to like a ridiculous sum of money. It's like the reverse of putting a kid through college, dude. It's like, because this motherfucker's going to get stupider over time. It's not like you're not going to be like, there's my 17-year-old. Do it, baby girl. The whole world is your oyster. That's not what this is. Right. It is.
It's the biggest bill to keep somebody comfortable until
the end times. Right?
Yeah. And it's a sad, morbid way to morbid.
Oh, you have to laugh,
but it's real as fuck though. Like you know what I'm saying,
see, but that's all of this is why I had to hit so hard in that initial conversation. I had to be I love this man, but I got to deal with this man. This is how hard I'm gonna hit, and then your response to it was everything, because you never lost your cool. In fact, In fact, you gave me a look like, is this motherfucker for real? Like, is he really this mad about this shit? Like, is it like what got in his head? Like, I could tell, dude. Like, it worked. All this shit I'm bitching about here in this second segment. Still trying to be Hagrid over here, right?
No,
It's
it
like-
was. I think no, you came like even with like you saw like I don't think you saw a little bit of Metro Icon like of the up piece
Yeah,
episode.
no,
but
I watched one of your promo bits. I watched just short of competition. I feel like I never got to see anything.
yeah,
with
but like
competition,
you kind of you essentially like the way you lit it like kind of like who the fuck are you? You know what I mean? Like who,
Well, yeah, because
because it was kind of like you thought you told me you were like yeah, it's like almost like you're coming at this like kingmaker type of.
Yeah, I'm like you're coming down here. You're telling me you've been in Dallas less than 3 years. You're coming out like a kingmaker, but who the fuck are you? Like who knows you? But also though, I'm piggybacking off of like the shady ass competitions I already knew from like whatever local talent that is just fucking beloved for whatever reason, but creates like subpar shit. So like,
But then I kind of gave you I think a little bit of an insight of some of the unknowns a little bit to what the competition
essentially
was.
shit I would not have been able to Google.
Yeah,
Right? Like, I mean, literally, it
Yeah,
would have had to
facts.
come from you to be able to have that conversation. And the
Right.
fact that you're willing to go there, that was like, that's also something different. You know, if it was a facade, if it was just like, well, sorry you don't appreciate the brand, fuck off. Like, that's, you know, that's where it would have ended. But he came at me with like the details and the receipts and.
Yeah, I have very little to hide. You know, like I think transparency is something I think all of us mutually understand and mutually work off of. But transparency is one of those things where we kind of put that flat on the table and
It's like an unspoken cultural
Right.
aspect of what we're doing.
yeah, and
It's
I think
just there.
I think that was the energy that like I think drew us all naturally together. So now talk a little bit about what this future plan is. real
So
quick.
all of this life experience has got me to this point where I am trying to bring and open a brand new cultural arts center in the city of Grand Prairie. It's going to be called Libros Unlimited. It'll have a stage. Grand Prairie's been blown up, especially if you're in that area and you already know this. We got liquor stores out the ass, lots of bars, even a tequila specialty bar coming through, but nobody's capitalizing on craft brews yet.
And there's a lot of development in Grand Prairie. And there's natural.
Oh, there's a ton. We're starting to rival McKinney and Frisco and things of this nature. We didn't get that Universal Park. Shout out to Frisco. But I mean, like, we got an Andretti's and a. Yeah, it's pretty close, man.
I would rather that be on that side of the town.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Keep all that tourism over there. I'll take my local folks.
It's gonna be crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's gonna
you
be
know,
crazy.
speaking of tourism and bullshit in Grand Prairie, we have a water feature coming, a 4-dimensional, like, rival the fucking Bellagio style water feature that's coming. It's going to be fantastic. So we're opening it. It's going to be a stage. It's going to be 30 beer taps on the wall, and it's going to have a retail hybrid that is a comics and game store, a clean one where you can walk in there and not look
I think
at
you
dust
also
from
talked about a
1932.
creative space too, like
For sure. No, any
like
modern, any modernized comic book shop these days has to have or think about building in its own production studio, like a podcast booth or something like that. But because we're also the venue and we're in Grand Prairie, my goal is to use that production stage in its off time, meaning when I don't have bands booked or you know tickets and asses and seats, to use it for a common creative co-working space for these kids that are coming out of our high schools out of there, who are graduating with audio video production. Like literally Grand Prairie High School has an award-winning horror movie called Horror High, and they filmed the second one this year. My daughter is graduating with animation and graphic design. Like that's her whole fucking thing.
in high school.
Yes, dude.
Oh,
That's what I'm
shit.
trying to say. These kids are graduating with damn near what's the
Getting
word?
smarter, yo.
Uh,
Get them young.
associate's degrees coming out of this thing. But the thing is, there's not, we're not Dallas, we're not Fort Worth. Even in Dallas and Fort Worth, you don't have a whole lot of people doing what we do, which is this live video production and really kind of going out there and doing it. And so part of that, I've already talked to the people in the school district. I've been talking to economic developers, business managers, the mayor, the city council, all this kind of stuff. And so it is definitely going to be a source of continuing education for these kids who are graduating with trade tech level skills in our sector and what we do. So
Something that's a growing sector. You know what I mean?
absolutely,
Like
it's not going nowhere.
Yeah,
dude.
it's not going anywhere.
You
like,
can't AI what we do.
You can't literally now. You can't even have a business without having media like
Right.
placement and being able to have visuals and it's how everything is sold. So I mean, understandably, like we've talked a lot about these details of what you're essentially trying to accomplish.
Sure.
And so part of that is, as much as you've been helping out our venture, we are here now providing a resource to make that venture happen for you.
That's what I need. Boy.
And again, it's and part of that, I think you came in with some let's call it roadblocks. You came with some roadblocks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, to this work that you've been putting in for this venture, and you got some roadblocks, some twists and turns that kind of came your way. And you came here and we had our little board meeting and a little collective, and we've kind of figured out alternate avenues with opportunities that this didn't work, but there is this
might work
here. You know what I mean? And so we can still get there because we got this that's coming in. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited to see what this develops. I know it's going to happen, and there's a big love for comics and or comic books and that culture and style. And you're a guy that is diligent and passionate, and
thank you.
And have just the biggest heart in the world. You're just a wonderful, wonderful man. So we're gonna go ahead and actually close this out. I know you guys will be seeing a lot more of my guy Jason, aka Hagrid the Plug. If you ever see him in public, feel free to be like, Hagrid the Plug.
Come and say hello. I don't mind.
But you know how we end this show, right? What our guests do? Do you know?
I don't.
Okay. So you never got to the end. So
I never got to the end. I'm one of those guys that gives you like 15 minutes.
Yeah, he did a quick scan and ended it like that. 40. Yeah, he's
That's
like
right, yeah.
he pretty much got to he watched 3 different 1-minute segments throughout like an hour.
Oh, I see what it is.
Episode.
Yeah, I got it. I got this.
He I get the gist, you know. Right. So every episode we have our guests always end with like a final quote or saying into the world. Essentially, imagine it if this was the last thing you were to ever say on camera.
Sure.
This is how you're gonna close the episode. So go ahead.
All right. So what I would say to you is that when you're taking your steps throughout this world, at whatever point on your journey, I want you to imagine you're the biggest fucking dinosaur you can think of. Brontosaurus, T-Rex, whatever it is. I want every step you take, I want you to think about the imprint it's going to leave when that foot hits the fucking earth. And I want you to be very intentional with every single one of those steps. Yeah.
I think I was more Chewbacca than a dinosaur, but that was fire.
We'll never know because they're not alive.
You could do it all.
Do it all, baby.